We've only just scratched the surface of Kong's capabilities, so let's open up the Drum and Effects section and we'll see a lot more. Now, each one of our drum pads has a complex drum module, two insert effects, a bus effects, and a master effects. And each pad can be sent to a different output. Let's look at each of these sections. The drum module allows us to change from physical drums to synth or generated drums, or we can use a sampler and even a mini Rex loop player. Instead of Dr. Octorex, it's Nurse Rex, but it's still very complex, and each one of our pads can have a different type of drum module. So we'll talk about those settings in a minute. Next, we have two insert effects, and we can choose from compressors and ring modulators and tape echo. Yes, there are effects elsewhere in Reason, but these effects work great with drums, and they're built right into the Kong unit. In fact, you can use them without a drum module. You can use Kong just as an effect module. Then we can choose an output pair to send each pad to. Every pad can be different, and you can cable the outputs to other effects, to other devices, or to different channels of your mixer. Up to you. And finally, we have a send or bus effects section and a master effects section. So two more effects we can add here, many of the same choices that we have for insert effects. And then from that bus effects knob up in the top, we can choose how much of the sound gets sent to that bus effect. What's also nice is that we can add a master effect. And while the drum module and the insert effects are set to the drum output, the bus effects and the master effects still go to the master output. So we can have separate processing for the drum sound plus insert effects and the drum sound with the bus and master effects. So two channels of drums that we can mix. Now let's take a look at this drum module here. Each one of our physical drums have similar settings. For example, the bass drum, we can specify settings for just the beater, the tone of the beater and how much we hear. And we can specify settings for the back of the drum, tune it, and determine bending and damping. And we can even determine how much the shell resonates. And then there's an overall level knob. Now, if we look at the snare or the tom-tom, you see similar controls for different parts of the snare, bottom and top, and with the tom, side and top. Even the sticks have their own controls. Now, when we move to the synth drums, these are all generated through oscillators. So the synth bass drum has controls for pitch and tone, how much noise, how much click sound, and so forth. And the other drums are similar. For example, the snare, the tom, and the hi-hat. So you can make a really nice electronic kit just using these synth-generated sounds. For example, let's bring up one of our electronic kits that comes with Reason. And of course, after we've set up our drum module, we can turn on insert effects. Let's add some ring modulation to our snare. And maybe something else here. A filter, perhaps. Or tape echo. So we choose our physical or synth-generated drum, we add our insert effects, and then of course bus effects and master effects. We can generate some really nice pad sounds. Next, we'll look at the NN Nano.